Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the live stream. How are you doing out there this evening? We're going to talk about something fun today. We're going to talk about being productive, one of my favorite topics in the world. And let's just say a straightforward way that we can increase our productivity is to have a working system, a working environment that handles everything that we needed to handle. And many of us have something available that we're familiar with. We just need to tweak it a little bit. What am I talking about? We're talking about tonight using the Google environment to create workflows that will help us. And there are really two questions I'm going to focus on answering. Where do I create and store these workflows? That's question number one. Question number two is, how do I create it in the Google environment? We're going to answer both of those questions and set up a sample workflow tonight in Google Calendar. Yeah, something that you're probably very familiar with, Google Calendar. But have you ever thought about and worked through how to set up a workflow for a particular type of activity or process? Well, welcome, and I'm Florence. I'm a productivity practitioner, not a guru, a practitioner, and I help professionals, entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders, and faith based organizations to streamline your productivity workflow, find and eliminate friction, and enable you to achieve your purpose with greater efficiency. And so those go hand in hand. So, welcome to Purposeful Productivity. And I can't talk tonight, but it's okay. Let's see who is in the building with us tonight. I see a few folks joining in. I'm so excited to have you here with me. I'm going to start with, and let me get to the right screen here. Get to the right place. Start with Frank Jackson. Welcome. One of our moderators. Thank you for being here and for serving the community. And we're going to move on to the other moderator, the emotional CEO. Again, thank you for being here. And yes, welcome, Live Tribe. Welcome to Friday night. And for those who are in the building, I'm going to chat with you and engage with you and have a little fun tonight. But if you're listening and you're not able to comment because maybe you're cooking dinner or helping a child with schoolwork, thank you for being part of the Live Tribe and listening in. And later on, leave a comment in the comment box and I'll be sure to respond to you. We have a newcomer with us, Laura. I know you from Tech Troublemaker. Welcome. Welcome to the Live Tribe. So glad to have you here. And I know you're a phenomenal creator. So excited to see you join us this evening. And there she is, Miss Gretchen. Glad to have you here. And I hope I do a little bit smoother job, but yeah, I'm human and I make mistakes and I'm not perfect and I'm okay with that. I'm just a regular person. So we're going to get started with the topic tonight that we're going to talk about tips for using the Google Calendar for productivity. And again, I'm going to focus it around a specific workflow or use case, if you will, because there are a lot of general use things and here's where to click, but how do I actually make it work for me? And I'm going to talk through a few items, just 4 or 5 tips to get you going, give you something to think about, and maybe you can apply it to something that's specific to you in your work, in your life, not just in a job or a profession, but just in life. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I see somebody else who just snuck in here. So I'm going to say hello to this gentleman who I will tell you all, he pushed me off the cliff. I'm trying to get some wings. I'm still trying here. Welcome to the show tonight, Walter Strong from The Huddle with Walter Strong. And he's calling Frank Mr. Frank. Mr. Frank, awesome. So glad to have you all here in the building with me. So the first thing we're going to talk about If see, I'm still messing up. If I can get stuff off of the screen, navigating the Google Calendar from a web browser. I'm going to show everything in a web browser. What I will say is what I show you in a web browser, you can do if you're using the Google app on your phone or your tablet. So if you're using the Google Suite on your device, these capabilities still work, but it's easier for me right now to show it in a browser. So that's what I'm going to show you, how to navigate, how to use some of the features. So let's just talk about navigating from the web browser. So what we're going to do is just walk through the screens and the interface so that it's a little bit more familiar. And this is something that I've learned something even in preparing for tonight. So hopefully you'll learn something new. So let's go on and move to the right place, the screen. There we go. So if you're seeing this, you may be familiar with some of it and some of it you may not. So we're going to dive right in. So this is the Google Calendar, and the way I got here is in my browser. I typed in calendar.google.com. I did not go to email and then go to the app launcher and then navigate to the calendar. I went straight to the calendar by putting calendar.google.com. And why would I do that? It keeps me out of email. I don't get sucked into the email rabbit hole when I want to be productive. So I go straight to the application that I want to use, in this case, the calendar. So you see it looks pretty clean. I've got it in a 4-day view, but let's just do this. This hamburger up here in the upper left, if you're not familiar with these terms, when you see these little straight lines in the IT world, we call them a hamburger. So this hamburger up here next to the calendar icon has a feature where you see I've got the times down here on the left and the plus sign right below. But if I click the hamburger, it'll open up a left side screen, which shows the calendar and a month view and some and other options down here. So that's one item to pay attention to in the browser, the hamburger. On the opposite side is a little chevron down here in the lower right corner, and it is to open up the panel on the other side, which gives you access to other applications. So you can have both panels closed and have a very clean look, or you can open them up and see them. The other is up here in the top. I have 4 days, but you can change it to see a single day. You can change it to see a week at a glance. You can change it to see a month. I like the 4-day view. So there are lots of ways you can look at the calendar. And if you're not accustomed to changing it, I hope that was valuable to you, because sometimes we just see what the default is and we don't pay attention to. We can change the way it looks so that it's valuable to us. Of course, a couple of weeks ago, I shared with you here you've got the calendar, switch to the calendar, and right next to it is switch to task. So if you're using the task view, you don't have to go anyplace. You can get right back to it up here. Of course, this checkerboard is the app launcher, so you can get to all of the Google apps there. This is your avatar, so you can get to different accounts if you want. This gear gets you to settings, and there are settings in the calendar, lots of them, that you can change. Okay, so if you haven't navigated around the interface or the screen, those are some keys to know that you can use, because they help you. They will help you later on. You will see how I use them when we're going through setting up our sample workflow. But just knowing how to navigate around this screen is key. Let's say, just remind you, if you have questions or you have comments, You may use Google Calendar already and be really proficient with it. If you are, I'm going to ask you to help me help the audience by putting your comments and your experiences in the comment. If you have a question about something that I say or about Google Calendar, put a Q colon in front of it and I will do my very best to answer your question. And if you have not hit the like button, hit the like button. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you a part of the community. So let's move on to, now that we've got a little bit about how to navigate around the interface or the screen of Google Calendar, and I'll talk about a couple things, and there'll be links in the description bar below for those things, some tools that I have available to you. It's specifically one particular tool that's going to be relevant to this calendar. Okay, so we've navigating the screen, and now I'm going to talk about some features, and I found a cool one that I had not used. I was so excited to see it. So Google Calendar features is our next topic or next area we want to flow into. And we're going to go ahead and go back to the screen share. Features that I want to call out. This little plus sign is where you create new entries. It's one way. But if you click it, you can create an event or an appointment, which is what most people think of using a calendar for. You can also create a task. This is a new one. You can also now create an appointment schedule. An appointment schedule is for those of us who have people who schedule appointments with us or book appointments with us. Let's say you're a coach, or like Gretchen, you're a photographer. If you're taking on a photography gig and you have people, you want them to book appointments with you to talk about what you're going to be doing, go through your pre-production process, and you don't want to go through the email hell, that's what I call it, of going back and forth in email to figure out when it's a good time to meet, what information you need from them. You can do these booking calendars. Well, now many of us have used external booking calendars. We've used Calendly, Acuity, TidyCal, and probably a whole bunch more, something off of AppSumo. Google have now put that capability inside of Google Calendar, and they call it appointment schedule. So if you want to get rid of an expense with a third-party application you're using, you can convert all of those bookings into this appointment schedule feature within your Google Calendar. Just a tip there. The other feature, I didn't mean to do that just yet, is, I mentioned it, but linking to task. So if you have a task that you have scheduled on a day, not only can you enter the task from clicking here in this navigation, creating it through, I'm going too fast, creating it through clicking the plus, you can also open up the right toolbar and add it here. So lots of ways to enter tasks and have them integrated into your calendar. That's a key feature when you're talking about setting up a productivity system, because remember, it's calendar management or schedule management, task management, and information management. Those are the core components. Notes, thoughts, writings, and things like that when I say knowledge management. So key features, and you have direct integration or connection to your note-taking tool, Google Keep, right here in the interface. Key feature. They all work together. You don't have to go around, you don't have to have 3 different systems and figure out 5 different interfaces. It's right here for you. Key Google features. Now, how do we add things in a simpler way? Let's say I want to put something on the calendar tonight at Well, I've got something, but say I want to, well, a feature. I shouldn't have popped that up. I'll do it again. But I just had a pop up because I set a reminder to come on at 6:45 to pop up on the screen and remind me of something. I just told it to come back in 5 minutes. But let's say I want to schedule something tomorrow at 2 p.m. I can just click here and add it. New appointment. Don't laugh at me typing, y'all. And I can fill in, it can be an event, it can be a task, or it can be an appointment schedule. I'm going to schedule an event from 2 to 3 tomorrow, and I'm not putting the location in. I'm not even adding any detailed description information. We're going to get back to that. But and I'm making it an appointment, and I'm putting it in my appointment calendar, and I'm going to save. So now I have this on here, but I'm going to open the hamburger and show you something more important. I've got an appointment here. I've also got another calendar here called Content Plan. We'll talk about it. And I've got a calendar, another entry here for task, yet another way. I can turn off anything that I don't want to see at a particular time. If I only want to see appointments, I can turn it just that on. If I only want to see things I've got on my content plan, I can turn that on and just see that. If I only want to see tasks that are tagged to a particular day or set for a particular day, I can turn that on and they're up here at the top of the screen. Key feature, if I'm going to do this task at a particular time, I can change it and put a time on it. And let's say instead of all day, I'm going to do it at 7:30 p.m. and it moves it down. These are features and ways to, it's navigation, but there are more features than just navigating around the screen. It's how to manage all of your appointments and your task in a way that is quick and easy and straightforward. So I'm going to see if anyone has any questions very quickly here. See if anyone has questions. And thank you, Gretchen. You say I always make you smile and feel so welcome. I'm glad you feel welcome here. I want everybody to feel welcome here because you are. All right. Let's see. We got a question. Okay, here's the question. Is there an easy way or button to push that connects your Apple Calendar to Google Calendar? In other words, how can I make my Apple Calendar entries show up automatically on Google Calendar? What I did, because I use Apple Calendar on my devices, even on my computer, what I did was I added all of my Google Calendars into my device, and I made those, set those as my default calendar. So when I add something to my calendar, it goes directly onto the Google. Even when I'm using my Apple, like Apple Calendar, it's just connected. It's just set up and connected to my Google Calendar. That's a great question. So yes, there is a way to do it. And in fact, when I use SIRI, our girlfriend, she just puts the appointments directly on my Google Calendar because I have say this in a way that makes sense. When you add a new calendar, you can pick if it's Google, if it's Outlook, if it's whatever or other. I always pick Google when I'm adding a calendar, and that's how I link them. And I actually don't use the actual Apple Calendar. I'm just using the Apple application, calendar application, to get to my Google Calendar. And I used to use the Apple application, but the integrations with Google were one of the reasons that I wanted to move off of just strictly Apple. But I wanted to be able to use the application, and that's how I did it. So if that made sense to you, or if you need me, if it would make sense to you for me to create a video to show you, let me know. Just say, yeah, create the video, and I'll be glad to create a video and post it for you. Okay. Hey, Roy. I think you were traveling. Yes, you are. Between planes, you're traveling this weekend. I think you're trying to get home safely to your family. And everybody is saying hello. I'm so glad you guys are greeting everybody, each other in the chat. I'm just looking for any other questions here, just in case I missed one. I do not see any other questions. Okay, I'll come back if there are questions later. So let's move on to, okay, I'm going to go back to the screen share because I want you to see what has popped up. So there's a pop-up here on the screen, and it's because I set a reminder on a task to oh no, this is a reminder on an appointment to do a show debrief at 7:15. It was just, I just need to pick something. So you can also, and if this is on, if you have your calendar, on your phone or your tablet, the reminder is also going to pop up on that device. So the same way you use reminders in your other apps, it'll just work the same way, and it'll pop up for you. Because I don't use those pop-ups and reminders very often, because I'm pretty disciplined about just paying attention to what's on my calendar. But if you're a person who needs those kind of reminders, it works pretty flawlessly. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is some of the features, but now I'm going to talk about, this is getting more into the workflow, 3 calendars that will form the base or the foundation of your system. You see 2 of them. We're going to add a third one because I want to show you how to add a calendar into the Google environment. It comes with one by default, and it's usually called calendar or just your name. I changed the name to my appointments because you can change the name of any of these. So let's go back to screen share. And over here on the left hand side, I'm going to try to scooch this a little bit. My appointments, my content plan, and my task. But I want to have a third calendar, and that third calendar is time blocking. So the 3 calendars is one for your appointments. If you are, and we're using blog, the example I'm going to use is preparing to produce a blog once a week, a content plan. But if you write anything, if you write speeches, if you design graphics, if you are a filmmaker, if you're a photographer, if you are a video maker, if you run an organization, this concept of a content plan works in all of those. And everyone I help produces some type of content in some way, shape, or form. So content plan makes sense. To add a calendar, where it says other calendars, there's a plus sign. You just click on plus, and I want to create a new calendar. And a blank box pops up, and I'm going to call it my time blocking calendar. And later, if I want to change it, I can. And that's all I need. I just need to put it in there. It's going to create. So now I have this time block calendar. So I have my appointments and my time blocking calendar. I can add other kinds of permissions and all kind of stuff. Don't need to do any of that. I just needed to get it in. So now I have this time block, but I need to change the color so it stands out. So let's say I want to make it this kind of birch color so it's not as obtrusive as the others. So I know if I look at this blue color, it's an actual hard appointment. I look at this lavender color, that's content, and then I look at this birch color, and that's time blocking. So I want to build a time blocking calendar, and that's all I want to focus on. And I'm going to put this on a week view. Now, the resource that I mentioned, if you have never built a time blocking calendar, A quick way to do it instead of figuring it out on your own and doing all the calculations is to use a generative AI prompt, Chat GPT, Gemini, whatever. I have a resource on my Buy Me a Coffee page, and you can go to the page. It's at florencedonald.live/community, and it's called a time blocking. My brain just went to sleep. Time blocking guide for Chat GPT. It's just a sample prompt that'll take you through 7 days of common things you're going to do pretty much every day, like sleep, eat, cook, and then breaking out Monday through Friday, and then your weekend, Saturday and Sunday. It's a quick way you can copy and paste it, make modifications, throw it into your AI tool, and it'll literally build a time block calendar for you, and then you can take that and put it into your Google Calendar, and you don't have to do all the calculations yourself and figure out, like, I need 20 minutes for this and 8 hours for that. When is it going to fit in? It'll build for you. But let's just say I'm going to do something very quick here. On Sundays at 2 p.m. it's to 7, it's going to be appointment time. So I'm going to take appointments then because I'm doing the schedule thing. And then Mondays from 11 to this time, it's going to be me writing time. And let's say that's going to be every Monday, and it's going to be a custom. Let's say I'm going to write 2 days a week. So I'm going to write on Monday and Thursday, and it's going to repeat. So that's just the idea. I want you to get, so whatever those times are, because these are not appointments. This is just kind of give you a visual of what you intend to do on a week by week basis. And you can move it around, but it gives you that visual to see how much of my week is taken up with this thing that I intend to do. And I know when it's going to happen. So now I go back and I can see how they fit together. Is something, am I booking the time when I didn't want to? If I have a bunch of appointments on Friday and I really wanted those appointments to be on Monday, I can see where I have a conflict or where I've set up my booking calendar incorrectly. And to set the booking calendar, you just go here, appointment schedule, and then you say appointments with Florence. And you say an hour, and I'm going to have it on Monday from 9 to 5, and I'm going to have it on, I said Monday I said Sunday. So I'm going to add Sunday, and I'm going to say 2, now I'm trying to remember. This is why you do it in ChatGPT, because then it just builds it, and you just, to 6. And then I'm going to say, I'm not going to take appointments on Monday. I'm not going to take appointments on Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll take appointments on Saturday from 11 to 4. Just so you can see. So now I can see my booking time. If I've made appointments here on Sunday, and I didn't mean to do that, I can go in, I see this is not matching up. That's the whole point of having that time block calendar. It's not matching up. So if I go to next week, let's see if they match up. Now it matches up because I said put it here, and it's laying right over top of that time block calendar. So you can see it. If this is making sense, put yes in the comments and let me know. And if you knew that you could do this, let me know that too. Or if it's brand new to you, let me know. I wanted you to get value out of what we're doing here. And I want to share with you something that will help you with your time. And now I had some writing time down here in my content. Now I know I can move this from my content calendar, and I can from my content plan, because that's not where I wanted it to be. I can move it to my time block calendar, and now I know that is time blocked writing time for every day. It doesn't matter. It could be research time, it could be outlining time, it could be thinking time. It's just I want to see when I intend to do these things. That is the whole point of that time blocking calendar, but it doesn't interfere with hard appointments. It helps you narrow down hard appointments. It helps you see when you narrow down bookings. It helps you see when you narrow, and you can narrow down when you execute tasks and plan to execute those tasks according to your calendar. So, questions. If you have a question, let me know. Let me know. Let me know. All right. So, we've got three calendars. My hard appointments, which is in blue. My content plan, which is in this kind of lavender color. And my time blocking plan, which is in this birch kind of taupe color. Ugly colors, but you can pick whatever color you want. The whole idea is you can look at it by color and very quickly see what's different. And your task is this yellow. I even made those a different color. And if colors is not your thing, we can talk. But I'm using colors because I'm a program manager and we use color for everything to tell the difference. There you go. So that's set up your three calendars. And then I would layer on, if you're going to use the scheduler, layer in your scheduler. So, and then there's a way you can send a link out to everybody, just like every other tool that does this, so that the people who you want to get to be able to book those appointments can book them on your calendar for you. And it will eliminate you going back and forth. That saves you time and gives you time to do other tasks instead of managing bookings. Okay. Then we're going to move on to the next piece we're going to do. Now that we've done all of that background work, we've run a ChatGPT prompt to get a time block schedule. We build our time block schedule. And once you build it, you don't need to rebuild it. You can tweak it over time. We've set up our task and we've got those in linked together. We've got our appointment calendar. I'll come back. I saw someone say, yes, make a video for the community on how to put the Google Calendar in your iPhone. I don't have an Android, so I can show you on an iOS device, and it'll be the same on an Android. And then the next piece we're going to do is, if I can work my computer. Let's see. I'm going to design a workflow, and the thing that I want to use is this blog post. And I'm going to start with what we did last week in Google Keep. And in Google Keep last week, what we did was, actually, I'm going to do it this way. We wrote a blog workflow. So we had 6 steps: researching a topic, outlining, doing a draft, giving it to your graphic designer if you use one, scheduling, and then actually publishing. So those are the 6 steps. I showed you how to navigate the actual post using Google Keep and Google Doc together. Now we want to move this flow into our calendar. So go back to your calendar. I'm going to close some of this down because I need a clean screen. I'm going to turn off the time blocking, and I'm going to leave the other items on. I'm going to delete this because I don't want to see it right now. I want that going away. So, first step, I've got a blog post, and I need to figure out what my first step is, which is research. So I've picked one. I made a task called Research Building an Integrated Blog Production Workflow, and I've put it on today. That's a task, and it's in my inbox in Google Keep. In Google Task. In my inbox. But because I gave it a date, it's showing up at the top of my calendar. So this is a decision point. Do I want these tasks to show up on my calendar? In your workflow, to have a visual, yes. Is it due that day? No. This is when I intend to execute this task. So I'm doing research today. That's what's going to show up. I've completed the research, and I want to go to the next step, which is write my outline. So if I go into my task and I've got research today and I've completed it, I'm going to mark it complete. It's going to mark it complete in my calendar. See how it made it? It lightened it and put a line through it. That's my visual that I completed it. Then I can go on and say, okay, I'm going to write an outline, and I'm going to write that outline. I'm going to change this to say write outline. Write outline. And I'm going to do this tomorrow. Now you can build these out, all 6 steps, and put them in ahead of time. The point is you're linking them together, and your workflow, when you look at your calendar, it'll show you what you're going to do. If I want to do this writing of this outline at a certain time, I can schedule it at a certain time on Saturday. That is your flow, and you can see it happening. That's the beauty of, as opposed to strictly having tasks in the task list, which you do, you can move this over to writing. You also still will see it on your calendar. That visual, if you're a visual person, is key. So you write your steps. You can write them in a Google Doc. But then your workflow is, okay, I've got another thing. I've got to do this content. I want it to actually be something that I'm going to do now. I'm going to change it, and I'm going to move it to an appointment. And I'll put it right in here, and I can then give it a time. Instead of all day, I can say I'm going to do it on the 22nd at 10:30 in the morning for a half an hour. So you can use tasks, you can use appointments. I personally like doing tasks. You may like hard appointments, and it's okay if you do, because you can always change them. That appointment is now on Monday the 22nd at 10:30 a.m. I didn't have to rewrite anything. I didn't have to remember it. It was a visual clue, and because it was purple, I knew or violet, whatever you call it, lavender. It was a clue, and I said, okay, this is content that I need to work on. I don't have to remember. What did I call it? Where was it? So all of those pieces of content, they're reminders for you already in your Google Calendar. And if you're using a phone or a tablet, they will show up there for you as well. This hit me, so I'm going to talk about how it hit me when I was seeing this. I have my list of pieces of content, and I'm literally doing this. That's why it's important to me, and I'm using it as an example. I have about 20 blog posts that I need to work through, and I have them in an Evernote list. The challenge for me is having to go back to that Evernote list every day to see which ones I'm going to work on. And I wanted a way to see them on my calendar. And I thought, I can put them in a content plan. And then I started thinking, well, how do I make that work? Because I don't use Google Tasks for my everyday task. So I can use your calendar to navigate through, move these through your process. And these 6 steps is it's actually literally my process. It's not a made up process. It's the 6 steps that I follow. And so that's what clued me that there's a real good way to use my calendar and move those blog posts into a way for me to visually see them. And I can see when I have something in outline versus draft versus the graphic designer have it. And it can still be on my calendar. And that was really it. And now in my case, because I also link my Google Calendar into my Evernote account, when I'm working in Evernote, it literally shows up right on the calendar right there in Evernote. So it's all one place. My Google Calendar is that home. And that's what drove me personally to come up with, how do I do this? How do I make it work? And how can I use what I already use, a Google Calendar, without creating a whole nother thing somewhere? And if you want to use something else, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just for my brain, the fewer places I got to go, the better. Any questions? And did this make sense to you? I went pretty fast. Time to get used to what? Okay. Someone help me. The emotional CEO says it's making sense. Time to go use your tips to make some dollars. Sir. And we did get a request to give the community the video. So I will absolutely make the video for you on adding the Google Calendar in your iOS, in your Apple devices, so that they're linked. And I will make sure you know when that happens. I'll do that pretty quick for you. Okay. So we really went pretty fast tonight. I didn't go into a ton of detail. Next week, because this month is about the Google ecosystem. And again, the reason I love it is it's one place and all of the components come together. You've got a calendar, you've got a note-taking app, you've got your word processor if you use it, you've got a task manager built into one place, and they work together. And you don't have to flip from one whole different system to another. That's the beauty of it. Simple is good. Some people love complicated, and I can, honestly, I can do very complicated, but simple is best. We, as business people, as career folks, even folks who do a lot of volunteer work, there is hundreds, if not thousands, of pieces of information that we need to manage. And the fewer decisions we have to make, the faster we can move, the more efficient we can be, the sooner we're going to accomplish the goal that we have for the organization and for ourselves. And so I'm a big proponent of making it as simple as it needs to be, and no simpler, and no, excuse me, I apologize for breaking your ears, and not any more complex than it needs to be. And use the tool that makes sense, that you have some familiarity with. It is very difficult to learn a whole new tool and put a process in place at the same time. So if you have a tool that you already know something about how to use it, it's easier to work through building a process or workflow, because you're not learning the workflow, building the habit, and learning the tool all at the same time. So I get it, Roy. You're between planes. Absolutely. So, Oh, thank you. Gretchen says color coding calendars make my right brain self so happy. Yeah, I use colors and more colors and more colors in planning because it makes information stands out to people. And it's something that I learned as a program manager because if you've ever worked with one of us, we color code everything. Every report you get, it's got, five different colors in it. Every document you get, it's got five different colors in it. Every calendar you see, it's got five different colors in it because it actually helps people retain information. Think about if you see purple or whatever your color is for your content calendar, you don't even really need to see what the detail is immediately. You just know immediately that, oh, that's a piece of content that I'm going to work on at some point. So thank you. And Gretchen, thank you for seeing such clarity. I appreciate it. I appreciate it a whole lot. So I've covered what I needed to cover this week with you all. Next week, I'm going to put it all together and really go, here's step one, here's step two, here's to make all of these work together. Your calendar, your task manager, your note taker. I'm going to put a little bit of email in there because so much of what we get coming into us these days come in through email. So if you're getting task and need requirements, if you will, or things that people want you to do or things that you want to do in through email, how do you add that into this whole ecosystem? And it's very easy for you and you don't have to be digging through thousands of emails to find the information or what it was you were supposed to do. So thank you. I used to organize my first grade classroom with rainbow colors. Awesome. It was probably a teacher like you who made that stuff stick in my brain and I just didn't remember it. Because you guys affect us for life in really awesome ways. So thank you all. I appreciate everybody being here tonight and I look forward to seeing you back here as we close up the month. Next month we will start a new topic in May and I look forward to seeing you. Click on the video that's going to show up right here and let's keep this party going. Be well, everyone.